Look, let me be direct with you. What you're about to hear will completely change how you view human behavior. Your father never taught you this. Your teachers avoided it, and most men go through life never realizing it. This isn't motivational hype or positive thinking. This is knowledge that's been kept hidden for centuries, covered by layers of politeness, religion, and false morality. Over 500 years ago, Niccolò Machiavelli wrote the most dangerous truths about human nature. His ideas were so confronting that the Catholic Church banned his book. Yet today, every world leader studies it privately while publicly dismissing it as unethical. Why? Because it's not theory, it's the manual for how people truly operate. Not how they claim to act, not how we wish they acted, but how they actually function beneath the surface. You never learned this because society conditioned you to avoid it. We've been told that seeking power makes you immoral, that strategy equals manipulation, and that seeing reality clearly makes you cynical. But ignorance isn't virtue, it's weakness. My goal here isn't to make you cynical, it's to make you strong and unshakable. Because once you see the truth, you become dangerous in the best way. Here's the first truth. People are not rational, they're emotional. The idea that humans make logical choices in their own best interest is one of the greatest lies ever told. In reality, people avoid pain and chase comfort. That's the real algorithm. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. For all can see, few can feel." Meaning, appearances matter more than substance. And you see this daily. A friend asks for advice, then ignores it because it's hard. A co-worker complains about money, but spends on coffee every morning. A woman says she wants kindness, but pursues men who mistreat her. The people don't seek truth, they seek emotional validation. So here's what that means. Logic doesn't win people over. Emotions do. Don't argue to prove yourself right. Instead, create feelings that make others want to agree with you. That's influence. That's persuasion. If you want to lead, don't tell people what's correct. Make them feel that supporting you reflects who they want to be. Most men waste time arguing with facts. But those who understand influence know that emotions are the real language of power. The man who can guide how others feel controls the room, regardless of who has the better argument. That's the first shift. Stop playing with facts and start working with emotional impact. And yes, some will call it manipulation, but this isn't about trickery, it's about effectiveness. Now let's talk about loyalty. You were likely raised to see loyalty as sacred. Loyalty to friends, to your company, to your partner, as a badge of honor. But Machiavelli made it clear, since love and fear rarely exist together, it is safer to be feared than loved. That lesson cuts deep, because it exposes a hard truth. Blind loyalty is not strength, it's naivety. And naivety is weakness waiting to be used. Think about the friend who only calls when he needs something. The company that claims your family until the next round of layoffs. The partner who keeps you around while exploring other options. That isn't loyalty, it's one-sided exploitation. And continuing to give without return isn't noble, it's foolish. Real men understand this. Loyalty should never be automatic. It's earned through consistent respect and value exchange. Give loyalty generously, but the moment it's not reciprocated, withdraw it without hesitation. Because a man who gives endlessly without return isn't respected. He's stepped on, and you weren't born to be a stepping stone. True loyalty is inspired, not demanded. People must feel the cost of losing you. Your presence isn't owed, it must be earned. The most successful men aren't blindly loyal, they're selectively loyal. That's not cruelty, it's intelligence. It's not betrayal of others, it's refusal to betray yourself. Now consider your reputation. You were probably told that being liked is what matters, that you should avoid conflict, be agreeable, and keep everyone happy. But Machiavelli knew better. He wrote, Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you really are. Reputation isn't about being liked. It's about being respected. Respect has little to do with being nice. Today's culture tells us authenticity means sharing everything, that if people see the real you, they'll understand. But that's not power, that's exposure. What matters is strategic authenticity. You decide what people see, you manage perception, not by faking it, but by being intentional. Because in human interaction, perception is reality.
Want to be seen as competent?
Stop complaining and present solutions. Want to be seen as valuable? Don't make yourself constantly available. Scarcity creates demand. Want to be seen as powerful? Stop justifying yourself to people who don't matter. Mystery, consistency, and controlled vulnerability. That's the formula. That's how reputations are built. The men who master this are magnetic. People can't fully figure them out, and that tension creates respect. And finally, conflict. You are likely taught to avoid it. Stay peaceful, get along, never make waves. But that mindset is a trap. Machiavelli put it plainly: war cannot be avoided, only postponed to the advantage of others. Conflict is not a matter of if, but when, and the man who isn't prepared has already lost. Life isn't neutral. In business, someone wants your role. In relationships, someone wants her attention. In social dynamics, someone will test your boundaries. Don't go looking for fights, but don't be surprised when they find you. Be the man who trains for war during peace. That's the man others hesitate to challenge. He doesn't need to prove himself, because readiness speaks louder than words. Build your value when no one is watching. Improve your skills when there's no competition. Save when you're ahead. Grow stronger when life feels easy. Be both lion and fox. The lion protects with force. The fox survives with cunning. One sees traps, the other scares predators. To thrive, you must be both. That's how you stop being prey and at becoming a presence. But most men remain chained to the same lie. Just be nice, and people will like you. That's what many were taught growing up. Be agreeable. Be helpful. Don't cause conflict. And maybe, if you're lucky, someone will appreciate you for it. But here's the truth Machiavelli understood, and it stings. Being nice and being good are not the same. Niceness seeks approval. Goodness seeks truth. Being nice is easy. It's passive. It means avoiding discomfort, saying yes when you should say no, staying silent when you should speak up, putting others first at the expense of your own standards. But goodness is about doing what's right, even when it's difficult, even when it's unpopular, even if it means standing alone. It explains why women often claim they want a nice guy, but end up drawn to men who challenge them, ignore them, or even disrespect them. Biologically, niceness is often mistaken for weakness. Agreeableness gets confused with security, but deep down, strength, not submission, is what creates attraction. The nice guy avoids conflict, walks on eggshells, and hopes to be liked. The good man speaks uncomfortable truth, holds boundaries, and risks being misunderstood because his values matter more than approval. And here's the key: people don't respect those who chase acceptance. They respect those who command it, without asking. Think about history's most powerful figures. Leaders, CEOs, warriors, champions. Were they nice in the conventional sense? Rarely. They weren't doormats or pushovers, but they weren't cruel either. They were steady, disciplined, and principled. They didn't tolerate nonsense. They didn't fear rejection. They followed their own code, not public opinion. And that's why people followed them. You can be kind without being nice. You can show compassion without being weak. There's strength in calmness, in restraint, in saying less, but meaning more. Machiavelli once wrote, "Men are so simple and so inclined to immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims. What does this mean? Most people live for what's right in front of them. They don't see patterns, they don't question motives. They react to impulses, which makes them easy targets for those who do see the bigger picture. But not you, because once you understand this, you stop listening to words and start observing behavior. You notice patterns instead of promises, like the partner who preaches honesty but hides her phone, the boss who praises but never promotes, the friend who's loyal until you say no. Actions reveal truth. Intentions rarely do. The moment you accept reality as it is, not as you wish it to be, you gain power. Not loud, boastful power, but quiet, strategic certainty. You stop chasing approval and start attracting it. You stop asking permission and start making decisions. From here, you live by a new code, one not built on outdated ideas of chivalry or social approval. A code that understands perception is a tool. Loyalty must be earned. Emotions drive behavior, and conflict is inevitable. This knowledge doesn't make you cruel. It makes you prepared, intentional, and clear-sighted. The reason society teaches fairy tales about just be nice is simple. Predictable men are easier to control. They obey, they conform, they apologize for ambition, they dull their masculinity to be accepted, and they never see the chains they live in. But a man who thinks strategically, who sees reality clearly, that man threatens any system built on blind obedience. That's why Machiavelli was feared. That's why his book was banned. Because it didn't just describe power. It revealed the illusions used to keep people in line. So, if you want respect, learn to say no without guilt. Want to be valuable? Stop giving yourself away. Want to be desired? Be rare. Want to be remembered? Speak less, act with precision, and never beg for attention. Your greatest weapon is not charm, wealth, or force. It's self-control, the ability to master your own impulses in a world addicted to indulgence. While others react, you respond. While others chase, you attract. While others obey, you choose. Most people live like emotional pinballs, bouncing from drama to distraction. They overshare, panic, and crave comfort. That's why they're so predictable, so easy to manipulate. But once you master yourself, you become unreadable. And in a world addicted to exposure, mystery is power. Notice how truly powerful men don't overshare. They don't post every thought, every move, every feeling. Because control of your words is control of your image, and your image is the gateway to influence. That hits only when it adds value. Act only when necessary. Reveal only what strengthens your position. That isn't cold, it's calculated. It's strategic. It's shifting from emotional reactions to intentional outcomes. Every word becomes a chess move, not a dice roll. This is not manipulation, it's mastery. The game is already being played by marketers' algorithms and inherited beliefs. Most people are pawns without knowing it, and they wonder why life feels rigged. But once you see the patterns, how people think, what drives them, you start writing your own rules. That's when you shift from passive to active, from controlled to in control. This doesn't make you louder. It makes you quieter, sharper, more deliberate. You stop needing to prove yourself to those who were never listening. You stop chasing arguments. You stop craving approval. You simply are steady, grounded, immovable. And that changes everything. People respond differently. They listen when you speak. They hesitate before disrespecting you. They wonder what you're thinking. You no longer seek attention. You command respect, not through force, but through presence, through energy, through consistency. Reputation isn't something you beg for. It's something you build. It's shaped by action, by restraint, by discipline. You become known not for endless words, but for how you move. And unpredictability creates respect. You no longer need to prove your worth. Your presence speaks first. That's what Machiavelli knew. That's what every strategic thinker has always understood. Influence isn't about shouting. It's about perception. It's not about being loud. It's about being felt. And you earn that not by reacting, but by living with discipline, clarity, and control. You learn to wait, to watch, to move only when it serves you, and to walk away when it doesn't. Because in the end, the most powerful man in any room isn't the loudest. It's the one who feels no need to prove himself. That kind of presence doesn't come from pretending. It comes from knowing exactly who you are and refusing to compromise that for anyone. When you are grounded in your identity, when your values aren't up for negotiation, you become unshakable. People sense it. They may not consciously understand it, but they respond to it. Because real confidence is quiet and insecurity is loud. The world already has too many men desperate to be liked, too many softening their edges to gain approval, too many giving themselves away for short-lived validation. What it needs are men who step outside that pattern, men who are kind but not compliant, men who are open but not easy to manipulate, men who see life as a battlefield and choose their battles carefully. And here is where it all connects. You were told that life is fair, that if you are good, you will be rewarded, that if you work hard, people will notice, that if you love purely, you will be loved in return. But Machiavelli shattered those illusions centuries ago. Life does not reward goodness, it rewards strategy. The world does not follow justice, it follows power. And power is not always loud or showy. Sometimes it's the quiet certainty of a man who knows his worth and refuses to let the world diminish it. Power is choosing your standards and holding them, even when it costs you. Especially when it costs you. It's walking away from anything that doesn't align with your purpose. It's finding comfort in solitude, because you know selling parts of yourself for approval is far worse than being alone. That is the type of man who earns loyalty, not the one who tries to please everyone, but the one who lives with relentless alignment to his principles. And when you do that, something changes. People respect you. They may disagree, they may challenge you, but they won't question your seriousness. Because most men collapse under pressure. Most apologize for taking up space. Most choose comfort over respect. But not you. You now understand that comfort is the enemy of greatness. That peace without strength is nothing more than the silence before conflict. You've seen that the world is never neutral, that people are always watching, evaluating, and positioning. Human behavior is not random. It is patterned, emotional, and strategic. And when you master yourself, you begin to master the game. You stop reacting and start moving with intention. That's the key. Control over others begins with control over yourself. Because the truth is, everyone is playing a game. Even those who claim they're not, the ones who say, "I just want to be myself," are often the most controlled by others. The ones who claim they don't care about influence are usually the most eager to fit in. But you don't have to pretend anymore, because now you see you're no longer playing checkers in a world designed as chess. This doesn't make you manipulative, it makes you prepared, strategic, aware. You've outgrown the need to chase power because you've become it. Not in dominance over others, but in awareness of yourself. Not in control of people, but in control of your own mind. That is true masculinity, strength with direction, vision with discipline, fire with restraint. It's not about being feared in a shallow, exaggerated way. It's about being respected in a way people feel deeply. When you walk into a room, the energy shifts. Not because you demand attention, but because you've earned it. You speak less, but when you do, your words carry weight. You don't ask for recognition, but it comes to you. You're not loud, yet your presence is undeniable. This is what most men were never told. This is why so many feel lost. They were taught to suppress their strength, to distrust their instincts, to feel ashamed for wanting control of their own lives. But Machiavelli didn't write for the weak or the compliant. He wrote for those willing to see, to question, to lead. And now you are one of them. You now understand that people are not rational, but emotional, that loyalty without reciprocity is weakness, that reputation is your sharpest weapon, that conflict is not avoided, only delayed, that nice is not the same as good, and good is never the same as weak. You understand that strength and goodness are not enemies, they are partners, that power is not evil, it is neutral. How you use it defines you. You've been given something rare, clarity. Clarity about human nature, clarity about yourself, clarity about the game that's always being played beneath the surface. And with clarity comes responsibility, because now you can't pretend anymore. You can't act like you don't see. You can't live asleep. You're awake, which means your choices carry more weight. Your silence carries more meaning. Your presence has more impact. Your decisions influence more. That is the burden of knowledge, and also its gift. From this moment forward, you will never be invisible again. You will never be passive again. You will never be ignored again. They told you it was better to be loved, but you now know it is better to be feared if you cannot be both. Not fear through intimidation, but fear through consequence, through principle, through strength. The kind of fear that says, I will not be manipulated, I will not be used, I will not be dismissed. That fear is respect, and respect is the currency of real influence. This is what separates the few from the many. Not wealth, not talent, not even intelligence, but strategic thought, deep, unshakable understanding of people, the ability to wait, to plan, to choose with clarity, the discipline to avoid living reactively. These are the patterns of power, and the truth is, you were never meant to know them. You were meant to stay predictable, easy to manage, easy to control, but you didn't. You broke the script. You opened the forbidden book. You read what you weren't supposed to. Now the door is open, and if something in you has awakened, something steady, something strong, don't stop here, because this is only the beginning. There's a whole world beneath the surface, where influence isn't spoken, it's applied, where words aren't wasted, they're chosen, where approval isn't begged for, it's earned with precision. I probably shouldn't have shown you this, but here you are. If you're ready to go deeper, to uncover the psychological frameworks that make people seek your approval, then keep going. But know this, once you see, you cannot unsee. The path doesn't end where you think. It goes further, and only those willing to remain unshakable will make it through. And you were built for it.